Well, RJ, if the game 7 wasn't enough to give you a bunch of anxiety and everything, this one probably did, as the Kraken win 5-4 in overtime to take game 1 in Dallas. I mean, there's a ton of stuff to be talking about. I'm sure Queen Anne Beer Hall is very loud in the background for you, just a block or
Oh,
so
yes.
away. This was an incredible game. There's going to be lots to get to, but the bottom line is the Seattle Kraken take the 1-0 series lead in round 2, which is, just not a sentence I thought I'd be saying this year, but I'm very happy that I am.
Yeah, I think we all have to believe if we didn't already. And you know what? I was so happy to hear the national broadcast as they were playing off, as they were about to head to Sports Center, just saying, hey, this is real. This is who the Kraken are. They're not going away. This is what this team is. I think this win, if game 7 didn't do it, which I feel like it didn't totally for some reason, this game really cemented the Kraken on the national stage. When it goes to overtime, too, everybody's flipping their TV on to see what's going to happen. And they scored in a very Kraken type of way, that overtime goal from Yanni Gourde. I mean, it was just so fitting. Love to see it.
Yep. How nice of Yanni Gourde too to score right before 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast for everybody. So he's so generous. Uh, yeah, no, it's incredible. I have theories that we'll get to later about why maybe some of the national attention wasn't on the Kraken even after that Game 7 victory. We'll get to that. For now, though, we just got to party because Kraken up. They take this game. This is a game in which, look, this was a Kraken game. You got 5 goals from 5 different goal scorers. That's what the Seattle Kraken do. That's what they're all about. You had a bunch of chances from a bunch of different goal scorers. You had the defense activate and get involved. And I think based on what I saw tonight is going to be a big deal in this series. You saw this group make adjustments period to period and Hackstall have them up and ready. But the thing that really impressed me about this group, RJ, was we saw them in a situation that they haven't been in yet, and that is trailing to start a game in the postseason, and it didn't matter. They responded with like 4 straight shifts of just going after Dallas. They never gave up, and that's why this team, is able to pull out wins like this in overtime.
It didn't phase them at all. And Dave Hackstall was kind of asked about that this morning of like, what'll happen if you don't score the first goal like you have been. So we'll be fine. We'll just get to our game and keep playing the way that we do. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, that goal, I think even it woke them up a little bit too. Like their forechecking was so hard right after that. I mean, it really lit a fire under them. And they got rewarded for it too in that period, which that's good to see.
Oh, it really is, and just to score the goal after goal after goal was incredible. That was such a moment for them. Gonna start off with the super chats here, and then we'll get more into breaking everything down. From Schultz here, TKHB, doubt us if you dare. I mean, it's true. It's true. Like I don't know how much of it is doubt, RJ. Let me just get to my theory right away here. All
Go
right.
for it.
My theory is you listen to all these national broadcasts, national podcasts, all that kind of stuff, right? And the thing that you notice is whenever they talk about teams, the teams that they spend a lot of time talking about, they always talk about their sources within those teams. And I just think the bottom line is when you listen to like an Elliot Friedman or Jeff Merrick, it's all about who they know within all the various organizations. They just don't know anybody in the Seattle Kraken, so they just don't talk about the Seattle Kraken because they don't have an inside source. And you know what? It reminds me, that's kind of how Ron Francis ran things in Carolina. Nobody ever knew anything that was going on in Carolina just because Ron Francis doesn't talk to people. And I think that that's really ultimately what all this is. It's just that they don't have an inside man, so to speak, and they just don't talk about us because of it.
You know what? I think there might be something to that theory. And you can kind of tell when they talk on the national podcast too about the Kraken and how, it's got a very kind of cursory overview type of look where you don't really know the details as though you've been following the team closely. And look, their job is to be a national reporter. They cannot be following all 32 teams that closely, but you can kind of tell.
Yeah, you can tell, and the bottom line is they better start following the Kraken closely now because we're here, we're legit, we're winning games in round 2 against a Dallas team that a lot of people, myself included, thought was gonna probably win the Stanley Cup this year. So it's a huge deal. Light and super chat here. I'm not as hyped as I was for the other games because this win didn't feel special. It felt earned and deserved. Just 2 good teams going at it, and that's nice for the Kraken to finally be able to do. It is like this game feels like we belong, RJ. We went head to head against a really tough team. We game went to overtime. We were able to pick up the OT win. It does. This feels like back watching, all those great like Kings teams or the Chicago Blackhawks, where it was just like, this is the kind of stuff that they would do on their routes to winning Stanley Cups.
Right, just wear down other teams like the Kraken did in that first period, just relentless forecheck, earning all the chances that they're getting. And they got a lot of chances that all were earned. They were all well deserved. They came from putting the puck to the right areas, winning those board battles. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we can break down here, but the Kraken earned the chances that they got. And I mean, the Stars, it took Joe Pavelski some pretty insane plays, to get them level with Seattle. I agree with that assessment. Like, it felt earned, it felt deserved.
Yeah, it totally did. Good one there, Light. Another super chat here from Derek. Up late on the East Coast for the OT win. Warrior right there. Kraken of Road Warriors, Derek. Staying up late for him. That is dedication. Good on you. And thanks for the super chat. Duthin with the super chat here. I'm happy Pavelski is healthy. I hope it's out of his system now. Another great team effort for the Squid Squad. That is a question I have, RJ. Is like, how much of this from Pavelski? Like, obviously he's a great player. We know what he can do. He can tip the puck, all that kind of stuff. But how much of this was also just like first game back, he wanted to make an impact, and then he left it all out on the ice?
Well, I think he certainly wanted to do as much as he could his first game back, and I think he was kind of energized and refreshed, and that played a role. But Dylan, I think this is just kind of what he does, and I think he matches up particularly well against the Kraken. That's kind of what I was getting at on the Deep Dive podcast yesterday when we were previewing this series. Pavelski was the one player who just really worried me, given how well that he matches up against the Kraken. If you make any kind of mistake, give him even an inch in the offensive zone, he will make you pay for it. I mean, you basically just got to shove him to the ice, or else he's going to just tip some puck by you in a weird way. He's not going to score 4 goals every game, but I don't see him completely slowing down.
Yeah, I think he's always going to be there. He's always going to be somebody you have to deal with, especially once he gets really going on the power play. That's really the one thing that he didn't do tonight for them, which was be involved on the power play. Although I think, Jay Leach got this PK for the Kraken playing exceptionally well again. I mean, I almost don't want to say his name too much, RJ, because someone's going to take him for a head coaching job after all this. But that's been very impressive. But with Pavelski, I mean, look, it's one of those, I think he's one of those guys who is going to step up for his first game back. He's going to do this kind of stuff. He does match up well against them, but also the universe was just feeding him. Like that fourth goal, like just magnetized to his hands. Like, how does that happen?
He had to move his stick to tip it. That's a play that not many players could make. That is quintessential Joe Pavelski play. It went off of Larson's stick and was hitting him at like chest height too. Nobody else makes that play in the league, but it's Joe Pavelski. He can tip that puck. I'm sorry, stop me if I'm raving about Joe Pavelski too much. Like, fair disclosure to everyone, background. Like, I grew up a Sharks fan. I watched him play for some of the best years of his career. Like, he's an incredible player. He earned what he got in this game. But man, Kraken still came out on top though.
I can't wait to have a Red Glare conversation with you about whether or not his best years have actually been with the Dallas Stars.
You know what? As I was saying that, I'm like, well, maybe not actually.
Yeah. There's an argument to be made there. Last thing on Pavelski, 100% on faceoffs. I think the final number was 8 for 8. That's worrisome as well, but that's the story for another day. Steve Dog with the super chat here. NHL shouldn't allow punches to the back of the head on anyone. Super dangerous, but regardless, let's go Kraken, and happy with the win. So that's, of course, talking about Mason Marchment going after Morgan Geekie. So they were into it before that play even went back around the net. They were in the corner. They were going at it. It was, cross-checks Marchment on the back of Geekie on the back of some other Dallas Star. It was just kind of like this train they had going of cross-checks. But then it really continued as Marchment just stayed on him around the net, takes the tripping call. And then you and I have both seen this before, RJ. We've heard players talk about this. They know in playoff hockey, once that penalty's been called, you can get away with other stuff because they're not going to call another one on you. And I think that that's what happened. But I do think that the refs, the ref was right there. He saw that cross check to the back of Geekie's head, driving it down into the ice. If that isn't deserving of a 2-minute extra roughing, I don't know what else is.
Right, and he was frustrated too because he felt, I guess, Geekie that went down a little bit easy or whatever, and so you can see him complain to the ref at first. He sees the ref's not going to, call a dive or anything, so he just takes out that frustration on Geekie, and I really don't like those plays where a player is already down. You want to square up and face someone, challenge him to drop the gloves because you're mad, go for it. But when a player's already down like that, to cross-check him and then later that punch to the back of the head, that should have been an extra too, although I got to acknowledge that just doesn't get called in the playoffs, and I think Marchment knows that.
Right. And that's, again, it's a problem. NHL playoff officiating, it's always all over the place. But I agree with you, Steve Dog. That should be a penalty. Its bottom line is it should. Seth, the super chat here. Just hope Kraken don't get into the mindset of shutting down Pavs. Sure, cover him more, but not at the expense of defense. Now, this is interesting, RJ, because I feel like that's very much what the Kraken did do in this game. Was they really focused on the top two lines, and then they were just like, look, if Pavelski at the depth is going to beat us, then Pavelski at the depth is going to beat us. And I'm sure they weren't expecting 4 goals from Pavs, but that's what they got. But I do want to give credit to the Kraken defense for, and forwards and everybody for really shutting down all the big names on the Stars, not Pavelski related, right? We did not see any points from Sagan, did not see anything going on with Jason Robertson or Rupe Hintz, who's leading the playoffs in scoring after round 1. Like, that's an impressive thing. The Jamie Benn line was non-existent in this game entirely. So the Kraken, do want to give them credit. They did a fantastic job shutting down those top 2 lines for the Stars.
Yeah, they did. I mean, you look at that Robertson, Hintz, and Sagan line that's just been on fire through the first round, and what they've been able to do all season. And I barely noticed them. I mean, they created a few dangerous chances, but I was not scared in the way that I was when McKinnon and Rantanen were out on the ice together. It just felt like a whole different level of kind of shutdown there. And yeah, you kind of have to pick your battles, pick your poison with Dallas. They're a deep team. You can't stop everybody. They chose Pavelski as the guy to maybe give the better matchups and more of a chance. Probably won't be able to do that every game, but it did end up working out.
Yeah, but again, I still think that gives me a lot of confidence for this series, RJ, was just seeing what they were able to do against those 2 top lines, because that was something that worried me. We talked about it in the deep dive, right? Like, you've shown that you can shut down 1 line. Can you shut down 2? And the Kraken showed that they could shut down 2. It's just unfortunate that Dallas apparently has 3 lines now you got to worry about. So that's just what we're going to have to deal with moving forward. JMG here. Can the Kraken ever do anything easy? This is not good for my health. I mean, RJ, you're a night owl. I'm not. If this is going to be a regular thing, watch for me to just.
Yeah, I'm prepared for. I might have to carry the load on these post games a little bit if we get double, triple overtime. I'm ready for it. But yeah, look, it wasn't easy. They didn't make it easy. They blew another 2-goal lead. Like, they've done that a few times. But when you get to this level of hockey, when you get to this point in the playoffs, it's never easy. No matter who you're playing against, no matter who you are. I mean, just to win the game at all, takes so much effort. To be in there at all, to not just get swept in a series at this point, it takes everything that you have. And so, yeah, it's just not going to be easy going forward, but it's not easy for anybody.
No, it's not going to. And look, this is in some ways what we expected, right? Because these 2 teams were pretty evenly matched in the regular season. You saw overtimes in the regular season, seeing overtime now, and that's just the way it is. I think this is where it's difficult because the Kraken are coming off a 7-game series. They're stuck in this loop of what this was their 8th game in 15 days. Right? Like,
Yeah.
so that's rough if this series is going to be like this, where it's going to come down to the wire each and every time. I think this is the benefit for the Kraken of, running the lines the way Hackstall does, where the ice time is really spread out between everybody. I think that's going to become very, very important as this goes on, whereas Dallas is going to have some of their guys out there a lot more. Miro Heiskanen especially is going to be eating up a ton of minutes in this one, but also because Dallas, they had a couple extra days of rest before the series started, but they just came out of a brutal series against Minnesota where, the first game of that one went to double overtime. They were just physically beat every single game. And credit to the Kraken coming out 47 hits in this one, kind of continuing that trend. At some point, that wear and tear is going to start taking an effect for the Dallas Stars. So if every game is going to kind of be like this, where it's going to come close and maybe push overtime, I think that, the Kraken are setting themselves up to take advantage of that if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. And you look at the forwards real quick. Their ice time, like Yanni Gord, he led the Kraken forwards in ice time, only 22 minutes, 37 seconds. That's not bad at all. He played more than that in games against the Avalanche last series. This is absolutely manageable for guys. The way that Hackstall can roll his lines, it really does counter that fatigue.
Right. And interesting, we saw a lot of Ty Cartier in overtime too, going with that
Love
strategy.
it. Love it.
Player playing a little less during the regulation, in overtime. You want those fresh legs, especially from a young guy trying to prove himself. Saw some fantastic chances from him. Love the way Hackstall played that situation. Jules here. Kitty Cat's asleep. Make sure to like the stream. Appreciate it, Jules. Thanks for the super chat. Gary, one of the best parts of the playoffs is all my coworkers seeking me out. Been telling them all day we're getting this win. Let's go. Oh, I love it, Gary. Spreading the Kraken love out there. Absolutely love it. Appreciate it for sure. Shoeshine, lifelong Sharks fan as well. Super happy for Pavs to have this game. Happier our Kraken came out on top anyway. I'm sure you sympathize
Glad I'm
a
not
lot
the
there.
only one out there. Yeah, thank you, Shoeshine, for putting that in the super chat. Definitely some conflicted feelings tonight, but no question how I'm feeling right now.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Let me scroll down to this next one from Gregory. There we go. That's the lemon lime Gatorade time, baby. Great first period. Pavelski is a beast, but we persevered, and Yanni came through in the clutch. That's true. I mean, pick which one you want to talk about there, RJ. While I enjoy this.
There you go. Enjoy your Gatorade there. I mean, Pavelski is a beast. I said enough on that. I'll stop here. But Yanni coming through in the clutch, like that was such a Yanni Gord goal. I mentioned that the other day. Earlier
Yeah.
in this post game. Thank you. I'm getting tired here. But Yanni Gord, like the puck is just flying around. Nobody can find it. But Yanni Gord locates that puck and just throws a shot on net. He wasn't trying to target that top corner. He's just trying to throw something on Jake Ottinger that maybe can generate a rebound or do something for his teammates. And it's got the good fortune of going in. And I mean, that's just the kind of effort that he's been bringing every game this series. I think he's still leading the Kraken in points over the playoffs while he's doing everything he's doing defensively. Incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you know as well as I do, RJ, especially when you're tired and you take one of those spin around shots, like what do? You kind of lean back on your back foot a little bit, right? You really throw that stick up. You get that extra little bit of elevation on it just because you're tired and you're just going with it. Your whole body's into it. And it ended up being the perfect thing to do because Ottinger, he was actually in position for that shot. Like he was kind of ready for a shot there in a way a lot of goaltenders wouldn't. But because of Yanni Gord taking that little extra bit, getting that a little extra zip on it, sending it up high, able to get that goal. But that line just picked up where they left off from the Colorado series. You look at all of them. Bjorkstrand getting a goal in this one, 5 shots on goal for him as well. Ellie Tolvanen, 3 shots, 4 hits, 2 blocks, just out there doing everything all over again. And I'm telling you, doesn't it look like he's like 4 inches taller since the playoffs started? Like he just looks
It does. He
crazy
looks
bigger.
bigger.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looks way bigger since the playoffs started. So good on Ellie Tolvanen. Good on that line, kind of continuing everything there as well, because they really just they did it again where they didn't matter who they were on the ice against. Puck was in the Dallas zone, and that's what's important.
Yep.
Light, shout out Yanni for getting that goal in spite of being held like a toddler in Disneyland that whole time. And Tolvey, his amazing play got us the goal. So sorry, Light, we kind of jumped you a little bit there and just talked about those two. But yeah, it's the bottom line. That line is playing incredible, and them working through those things, understanding this is round 2, playoffs, overtime, things like that aren't going to get called. You just got to fight through it. You got to work through it. And if you trust in yourself, you trust with sticking with it, at some point you're going to get rewarded with something like we saw.
Exactly. And Ellie Tolvanen too, like, he only has 1 goal in the playoffs. Like he's not getting the goals that Bjorkstrand and Gord are, but he's doing the work to create those goals. He's doing every bit as much as those 2 guys.
Definitely. Becca with the captain, Yanni Gord. Yeah, I mean, this playoff run is certainly, it's making me turn my head.
It's tough because he's making the captain case, but at the same time, the further they go, they're making the case they don't need a captain.
Yeah, everybody's in there. This group is just incredible. I'm so happy to be covering this team, RJ. Like, it's so awesome. Certainly saying Yanni wanted to make sure missing Emma's birthday was worth it. RJ!
That is such a great super chat. Oh my gosh.
That is absolutely. I knew RJ is immediately going to go down and look this up. But yeah, I mean, that's incredible. Fantastic super chat there from Absurdly Sane. But yes, that would make it all worth it. I would assume that if I was Eva, that would make it worth it.
Yeah. Imagine, I don't know if she stayed up that late to watch the goal. I don't, she's might have a bedtime. I hope she stayed up to watch her dad score the winner there in overtime.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's a good reason. I know tomorrow would be a school day, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
Hockey Bob here. Highest chat numbers. Yeah, 268 right now. Is
Yeah, we
that
hit
a record
275 earlier.
earlier?
That is a record. So thank you,
Yeah.
everybody. Round 2, next level people in chat. Just onwards and upwards. Let's go.
Yeah, and for an overtime game too. Everybody's staying up
It's
for this
late.
one.
It's late.
It's late. Well, it's this game started at 6:30, right? Dallas is 2 hours ahead of us. That's an
Yeah,
8:30
8:30.
start
Well,
local.
8:50 if we count actual puck
Oh,
drop.
that's true, right? That's a pretty late start, like for the local fans there. I was kind of surprised by that, but thank you everybody for staying up, and thanks for everybody joining us on this journey, especially as the Kraken are now embarking on their maiden playoff journey. It's just been incredible here. Sergeant Pickles, Duds, Matty Posts, Borgie Boo Boos, Joe Stud Pavelski, Studs. Cart's playing his butt off. Gord calls game. Grew. I freaking love this team. Okay, the Matty Post situation, RJ. That was tough. It's not going to happen again. These are the lessons he's learning in his rookie year. That and boy, just like last game with Bjorkstrand hitting all the posts, it would kill the Kraken to have an insurance goal, wouldn't it?
I know it would. They just can't seem to do it. That's as good of a chance as you could want. And you kind of tell it was bothering Matty Beniers a little bit after that, in the immediate aftermath.
Yeah.
It's just tough, but feels a lot better winning the game. I mean, if he goes to bed after a loss, after that, it's just replaying in his head over and over and over again. That's how it would work for any player. So glad he maybe will think about it a little bit less.
Yeah. Borgen, I was trying to see, did Borgen play again after that one?
Yes, he didn't miss a shift.
Okay, there we go.
Miss a shift. Warrior.
Good on Borgen. I was shocked when he didn't go down the tunnel, when he just stayed at the bench, just slowly putting more and more weight on his leg. Incredible. Because that hurts, right? Taking the puck there, even if it's hitting the muscle, like that's a massive bruise. Like that's gonna be gnarly looking tomorrow for sure. And then Studs. We talked about Cartier earlier. Talked about Yanni Gourde. Have not talked about Philip Grubauer yet, RJ. Who, yeah, he allowed 4 goals, but like, good luck stopping certainly half of those. Nobody's stopping half of those with those 2 tips from Pavs. I don't know about that third one either, just because he's just right spot, right time. The puck that bounces out the crease.
Yeah, it's that rebound he probably wants back, though.
Yeah, that one's a little rough. But Philip Grubauer, again, keeping the team in it, making big saves. Big part of why Dallas was unsuccessful on both of their power play opportunities in this one. I mean, Philip Grubauer is the guy for this team in the playoffs. And really, I mean, we talk about the national media not necessarily paying attention to the Kraken. I still feel like Philip Grubauer is the person who loses out the most when the national media doesn't talk about this Kraken team.
Yeah, I mean, he basically has to steal a game 7 for anybody to talk about, which he did. So he kind of got some conversation going. But yeah, that's kind of what he needs to do. And this game, I thought, was a really good example of kind of the old saying that it doesn't really matter as much how many saves you make, but when you make them. And I thought he made the saves for the Kraken at all the right times. Yeah, there were a couple of goals that maybe he wants back, but he made the key saves when he needed to.
Yeah, exactly. And I like just, again, the way everybody responded to that, including Philip Grubauer, that first Pavelski goal, right? Like that was one where he just got beat, right? And you can tell, like, the moment he stood up, the way he just kind of like nodded his head, it was like he was just shaking that right out of his memory. Like he just wasn't even going to think about it. No point in thinking about it. It's already happened. On to the next play. And I love seeing that from him. And I think, the way the whole team responded helped with that as well. Edward, we are the Seattle Kraken. Pundit doubts don't vex us. We won a few up Mile High and we'll steal a few in Texas. I love it.
Love that.
I love it. I don't know if there was a melody I should have been singing that to or not.
I should have given you a beat, Dylan. Sorry.
It's fine. Great poem there, Edward. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Rianne, tomorrow's my birthday. I'll take a W as gift. Happy birthday, Rianne, as I see that there.
Man, it's like everyone's birthday right around now. This is cool.
I know. Hey, I would love if the Kraken are still playing come my birthday towards the end of this month, RJ. We could all be so lucky.
Yeah.
Sergeant Pickles, Pavs had me at I'm not even mad. That's amazing. I know what you're talking about, Sergeant Pickles. And I know RJ definitely knows what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. I think I said the words, I'm not even mad. That's multiple times tonight.
Yep. Krakenaki 32. Can we play every game on the road, lol? if only there was a way, RJ, to play every game on the road, because if any team ever would want to do that, I got to think that it would be the Seattle Kraken team. I'm sure, maybe ownership doesn't want that, like those home game receipts, but
They're big
the
money makers, that's for sure.
they're massive money makers. But I don't think, did the situation ever get resolved for 3 and 4 yet? Do we know when those games are played? Should we
Yes,
just
we
book
do.
them
The
in
whole series
Dallas?
schedule is out. So games 3 and 4, yes, they are on the schedule. Game 3 will be on Sunday the 7th. Game 4 will be on Tuesday the 9th. So
Okay,
thank you,
so
Seattle Storm, for moving your preseason game so the
yes.
Kraken could do that, by the way.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah, because I know earlier when I was checking today, I was like, we don't know. I was trying to make plans with somebody. I'm like, I have no idea what my schedule is. Sorry.
Yep.
Only the NHL. Jeremiah here. Love you guys. Sorry I've been absent. When this is all done and dusted, let's get together on a stream again. Might come down for a playoff game. Not that it's that hard to leave Alaska. Still have snow in my yard. I appreciate the super chat, Jeremiah. I'm sure. And hey, it looked like you were having a fantastic time down in Florida over on Twitter and everything. Hope you did have a good time with all that. And yeah, we'll definitely do something in the off season. No worries.
Oh, yeah.
And then from
If you come
Zame
for a
here.
game, let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Hook up with RJ for sure. Zame, I love Pavelski. After the hit, I thought we'd never see him again. Coming back to score 4 in a loss was the perfect outcome. A feel-good story. Seattle has a 1-0 lead, and Stars fans have no hats. It's very true. And I saw one Stars fan with a hat at RJ as they were like going around right afterwards. I was like, come on, man. No.
No, you got to throw that hat out there, especially, I mean, you don't know the fourth goal is coming, but like, come on. If there's a hat trick scored and you go to a game, if you just go to a game with a hat, you need to be prepared to throw it. Only bring a hat that you will throw for a hat
Yeah,
trick.
absolutely. You just have to. And I think the Dallas Stars lost because that one guy didn't throw his hat. I'll just say it.
Yep.
And that's what he deserves. That's the way it goes. Sorry. Especially with Pavs coming back and everything. Like, I get it. A lot of people were upset that, during the intermission going into overtime or on Twitter, like everybody was just talking about Pavelski. And I get it. It's 4 goals. Like, that's obviously worthwhile talking about. But also, I could sympathize a little bit coming at this from a media angle. It's like an amazing story, dude, coming back from that sort of injury, all of that kind of stuff, and then scores 4 goals. I hate to take ESPN's side on anything like that, RJ, but I get it.
Right. The oldest player to score 4 goals in a game ever, regular season or playoffs. I mean, there's so many crazy stats you can pull out here.
Yeah. But that's it. No more for like the 8th time. No more Pavelski, RJ.
Okay.
We got to stop. Because the bottom line is the Kraken had some stars show up in this one as well. We talked about Yanni Gourde. I want to talk about Jaden Schwartz getting the early goal, tie things up for the Kraken. I felt like that was a big deal because, we talked about the response to that early Pavelski goal, but that was really the thing that it felt like, okay, keep it going. Like you were rewarded for that effort. I think goals like that are always super important. And then Justin Schultz, guy we talked about all through that first series, guy just coming, stepping up. Ryan Donato getting him that puck over in space, taking advantage of what we've talked about during the regular season series against Dallas, RJ, where Dallas they overload to one side. With a team like the Kraken, where you do have D that is going to activate, they're going to have a lot of time and space, and that's what Justin Schultz had there. Good on Donato for finding him, and really just good on Donato for this game as a whole. He was everywhere.
He was doing his thing. He loved those wraparounds, driving the net, drawing a penalty, doing all the important work there. And yeah, if you can win that puck battle, Tanev helps him out. But Donato does a lot of work to kind of get that puck out and get it cleanly and make that pass. And that makes the goal happen. And the Jaden Schwartz one, I mean, that is just a hustle goal. That is an effort goal. And it's not often that when you lead the forecheck and you're the guy who kind of dislodges the puck, you're not usually the one who's on the final end of that scoring the goal. But thanks to a great play from Morgan Geekie, that's exactly what happened. So Jaden Schwartz scores the goal, and man, did he put in the work to create it.
Oh, definitely. And then just last guy to talk about before I get into chat here, Jordan Eberle. We talked about Ty Cartier a little bit earlier, talked about Matty Beniers. I thought Matty Beniers did have a good game in spite of the fact that, the whole post situation. But Jordan Eberle also, this is the fastest I've ever seen him look, RJ. And this goes back to like watching him with the Oilers in the early 2010s. You know what I mean? Like this guy is so motivated for it. You really feel like he's thinking in his mind, like, hey, this is a group that can actually do this. I want to go out there and I want to win.
And that youth on his line is rubbing off on him a little bit. I think that's given him that extra little bit of a boost.
Yeah, definitely. I love the playmaking from him. Love the goal scoring. All of it's fantastic. All right.
Now, before we head into chat, Dylan, I think we forgot to do it last time. I think we need to plug the merch because
Oh, that's a
the
good
Kraken are
point.
here in the playoffs. They're here to stay. There's plenty of time to get your playoff merch, everybody. Ours is almost here. Yeah, there you go. From the Deep We Rise, playoffs 2023. If you don't have it already, maybe you were hesitating a little bit. Maybe you were one of those people who were afraid they might get swept by Colorado, like all the pundits were saying. Maybe you held off. But look at these shirts, man. Still, they look awesome. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Get your
We're
playoff merch here.
professionals.
Yeah, professionals. We didn't size it exactly right, but there you go. Link to the store should be in the description down below if you're watching this on YouTube. You can also find it on our website, through our link tree on Twitter. You can get to our store. But yeah, we've got these shirts up there. Go get them. All right, done plugging the merch. We did it. We checked that box off.
We did the thing, RJ. We did the thing. We did the YouTube thing. Yeah, and again, it's a perfect kind of the way I really view it. Also, it's like not only do you show the pride through this whole playoff run, but it's kind of like a keepsake to remember this time. Like that's what I'll always remember this shirt for. Like even once it wears out, I'm gonna keep it and I'll add it to like a t-shirt quilt or something just to remember this time of this first ever playoff run with the Kraken and remember doing it with all of you guys in the community. It's gonna mean a lot to me many years from now, and so I can't wait to get mine in hand.
You can always look back at your dresser with that shirt. Just remember these times like tonight.
Yep.
And just quickly in the bottom of chat here, Lindsay, my playoff shirt arrives on Thursday, just in time for game 2. Let's go. Yeah. Great timing. Mega Man Zero just ordered my shirt yesterday. Thank you. Sweet. Jessica with a good plug, RJ. Thank you. I thought Dylan did a great job capping it off at the end there. Edward, I like shirts. They're comfortable and easy to wear. What an endorsement. What a plug for just shirts in general.
I know. If you're going to wear a shirt, it might as well be ours. That's all I'm saying.
Michelle got my shirt today. Just had to run in to say, yeah, now I'm off to bed. Good night, everyone. Good night, Michelle.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get to chat here. Let's talk about the game.
I was going to say, it's been really cool seeing everybody's shirts come in on YouTube as well.
Yeah, tweet at us on Instagram. Yeah, there you go. Just show us. When the shirt comes in, show us.
Bahrain, that was fun. Pavelski is a problem, though. Yeah, I don't know that we'll solve it. Tom, this team's going to give me a heart attack. I mean, I hope not, Tom. It was great meeting you in Arizona. But I know what you mean. Man, playoff overtime, RJ, it never gets easier. It just doesn't.
No, it's always the same stress of it. It never gets easier, even after 20 years now for me watching it.
It's a long
Doesn't
time.
get easier.
Doesn't get easier. Strayatic, we would not be Pavelski, not on this night. That's true. I mean, look, the Kraken said, hey, if we can't take the first goal in the game, then we'll take the first game in the series. And that's arguably more important. And so good on the Kraken for at least making sure they got that one. And hey, they won the first game last series too. Things worked out pretty okay. Maybe do it a little quicker this time. That would be the one thing I'd say. Let's see. All the Road Warriors, all the Yannis, all the Let's Goes. It's so great. Jake, we beat the Dallas Pavelskis. For sure.
Change the team name.
Yeah, definitely. Strayatic, how difficult it is to avoid a Pavelskiing? This team can do anything. Changing his name into a verb, an adverb. Good stuff there. James, thought after the Beniers missed, it wasn't going our way. Unreal job to keep the Stars off the board at the end of regulation and get them in overtime. So this is the thing that I want to talk about, RJ, because one of the things that we struggled with Dallas in all those regular season matchups was late game Dallas, when Dallas is desperate and the Kraken are up by 1. Dallas just pours it on, and the Kraken really struggled to defend that lead. They absolutely struggled to defend that lead. I was already thinking in this one, once Pavelski got that third goal, I was like, uh-oh. At some point, they're going to pull the goalie. We're going to have to deal with a 6-on-5 against Dallas. Hopefully the Kraken have been studying. They've been doing their homework. This is not something I'm looking forward to. Pavelski made it so they didn't even need to get to that point. But it is still concerning for me, RJ, that in the third period against this Dallas Stars team, the Kraken, it's one of those where it feels like they're fighting against the inevitable, which is never a position you want to be in.
Right. You need to be up 3 goals just to feel at all comfortable with a lead late in the game. And it's just such an uncomfortable position to be in. I don't know how to counter that against the Stars team because they haven't really kind of shown the blueprint for it yet. They haven't shown that they can do that and stop them and keep them off the board. I mean, you want to do just generally the things you did, through the first period or even through overtime, where you're just getting the puck out cleanly, creating some play in the offensive zone, just cycling it, wasting time down there. But they're just so hard to stop, especially when they shorten their bench and load up their lines. There's just a lot of talent there.
Yeah, there really is. So that's going to be something to watch for all these subsequent games as well. Lindsay pointing out, let's go Kraken undefeated in playoff games 1. Yeah, I mean it's true, and what a way to start things off. Like if you're going to win every game in a series, all the same number of games, it's game 1 because while stats aren't everything, the stats will tell you that team that takes game 1 more often than not goes on to take the series.
Yeah, and to get on that front foot, and especially when you're starting on the road, because then you just flip things immediately and you've got home ice advantage just like that. I know the Kraken, for a home ice advantage maybe doesn't mean as much for this team. They're kind of a road warrior team,
Yeah.
but it always sets off that extra little bit of panic in the other team when they lose game 1 at home. All of a sudden, game 2 becomes a must win.
Yeah, for sure. Dace felt even better than the Colorado series because we fought Colorado all season, but Dallas kind of owned us, but not tonight. I do think that there's something to that, RJ, right? Like we got past Colorado, but we handled them kind of in the regular season. Whereas Dallas, we had a lot of struggles with them. And, we had some struggles with them tonight, but the Kraken came out on top. And so it does show like, look, we're growing, we're evolving, we're getting better, we're learning from past experiences and making adjustments. Like I said, the fact that you handled those first 2 lines for Dallas, Pavelski can't do this every night. I mean, maybe he can, but he probably isn't. And so I think the fact that you held them off the board on the power play is crazy impressive. That is just not something I thought we'd really see from them. And then the fact that especially that Jamie Benn line, like it was the 3rd period before I asked, like, wait a second, is Jamie Benn playing? That's wild.
Yeah, and often you had the Wenberg line on them, but you also had Matty Beniers' line against him too. It wasn't just kind of a shutdown type of line. I thought Matty Beniers did pretty well against the Jamie Benn line overall, and it shows that really anybody you put out there, they can handle. Whoever the Stars choose to put out there, and the PK. I mean, can we just talk about the PK a little bit more? How impressive this is, because the Dallas power play, it's a different animal than Colorado.
Yep.
It's not just kind of funneling it to either side for those one-timers. Every single guy, all 5 guys on the ice can hurt you in a lot of different ways. And it just didn't matter. Jay Leach's PK unit was up to the task, and they only had 1 day really to look at video and prepare. And it's just a whole different strategy, and they adapted to it so well. Okay, I got to stop talking about Jay Leach so another team doesn't go sign him to be their head coach. All right, enough.
Who's in charge of the penalty kill did a fantastic job. Yeah, and how did the Kraken do it? They went conservative. They simplified it. They said, well, look, if the Kraken are, if the Dallas Stars are going to use a bunch of player movement to get people open, they're going to move the puck to all various areas. They're just looking for somebody to get wide open. Let's just not let people get open. And so let's just go, play a very conservative box and just take away the 4 people down low and let whoever's sitting up top have the puck. And they can have time and space. That's their man advantage, but it's going to be somebody who's just up top, not really looking to do anything. And that's what we're going to do. And the only time they'd ever give up anything down low, they made sure that it was really down low and way off to the sides, basically in a position where nobody would shoot the puck from. And so I thought the Seattle Kraken, the PK, was fantastic, just kind of going to a man coverage box setup where it was just, right, you want the puck, we'll give you the puck in these 2 outside perimeters, low percentage spots, and then, dare you to beat us from there because, you're not going to. And I thought that was an incredible adjustment series to series, because that's the exact opposite of what we saw from Colorado, where it was, one guy up, really pressuring, doing that triangle +1, really trying to get in there with the wedge. Don't give them time and space. Don't do any of that kind of stuff. And in this one, it was just, no, let's just stay in tight, make sure everybody's on everybody down low, and let them try to figure something out. And they just weren't able to.
Yeah, and that's the difference, because Colorado with like Makar and McKinnon up top, they can hurt you from that spot. And so you don't want to just give it to them free and clear. It's great adjustments. I love what this coaching staff is able to do.
Definitely. Joey pointing out, also undefeated in overtime in the playoffs, RJ, which is, I mean, just about one of the toughest things you could ever do, right? Everybody's out there tired. You've been playing forever, especially at the Kraken standpoint. Like I said, 8 games in 15 days. You got another playoff overtime game. Like, that's not a spot you want to be in, especially given the fact that you had a 4-2 lead going into the third. Now you're in overtime. Things could have gone so south for this group. But the bottom line is, this is a team, talking about it from the second week of the season. Team doesn't give up. They always play like they're in it. They always think that they can win. And that is what we're seeing from them in these overtimes in the playoffs.
And coming out from that overtime intermission too, I was worried at what we'd see because they just looked out of gas at the end of the third. And somehow you have to just pick it all up, collect yourself, and find whatever bit of energy you can to play for, you don't know how long. Like, that's the thing. You could try and empty the tank in the first 5 minutes and get a goal, and then where are you left with, what do you do then? So I was just really impressed with the stamina. They were able to come out and just completely reset their game. And that's hard to do.
Oh, it's really hard to do. So definitely credit to them. Jules, Captain Yanni, is always out there getting into fights, defending his guys, and bringing the spirit. Let's bloody go. I love it. I loved when he had the helmet ripped off RJ. He's just smiling as everything's going on. I love this one too from Kraken Hawk. Texas, where the game clock freezes, a hand gripping a beer takes up half the camera shot, and we get an overtime win. Yeehaw.
Love it.
I love you telling me you don't like somebody with just like a tall boy Modelo just like taking up half the ice there. Nobody else liked that. I thought it was great. It added a lot of character to the camera feed. I appreciate that. Anything unique and different, I'm all for. Derek Gord with the second star. Oh, that's a good point. Let's see. Okay, 3 stars of the game. Pavelski number 1, Yanni Gord number 2, Max Domi number 3. How does it not go to somebody from the winning team?
Like, what did he have? Like 4? Did he like assist on all Pavelski's goals somehow? Is that what it was?
He had 3 assists, but I could have had three assists playing with Pavelski tonight. That's not special.
Yeah, if you could put the puck toward the net, you'd have 3 assists. Like, that's all you need to do. I think a Kraken should have been 3rd star there.
Yeah, and it should have been.
Not arguing with 1st star at all.
Yeah, no. That's I get it. I understand it. But yeah. Kraken deserved to be there. And I would have put Justin Schultz, I think, probably. Because he had 2 great times defending net front too, where Grubauer had made the initial save, and then there was a rebound, and Gru was not going to be able to get over for it. And Justin Schultz had the clear. 2 times. It was awesome. Things could have gotten really nasty there, but he stayed cool under pressure. I'm really loving playoff Justin Schultz. I just can't say his name enough. Brian, amazing to come back after choking away a 2-goal lead in the third is simply gutty. It is. Again, it's just they never say die. They're Goonies. I don't know how else to say it. They're always in it till the very end. They always think that they can do it. Like, there's just nothing else to say.
Yeah.
Let's see. We need to just for once push a lead to 3 goals instead of trying to ride a 2-goal lead the rest of the game from Coop. Most dangerous lead in hockey, RJ, and the Kraken keep finding out why.
Yeah, they're 50% on that. They've had a 2-goal lead 6 separate times in the playoffs this year. The other team is tied at 3 of those times.
Yeah, Ty, this series is going to be a riot. Let's go. It's definitely going to be like this already 1 game in. You just know, RJ, this series is going to be a wild ride. It's going to be fun.
It's going to get a lot of viewers too.
It's going to get a lot of viewers. I was going to say, we'll talk about this, on the deep dive too, probably, but for most ever views for round 1 in NHL playoff history, coincidence that the Kraken are in the playoffs for the first time?
And their series with Colorado. I mean, Colorado certainly helped, with them being involved, but they did the best of a lot of those series. So I think that's a good sign there. And look, as a neutral, like as a neutral fan, like when I'm looking at series, I kind of look at how game 1 goes and see, okay, which one was the most exciting for which game 2 I'm going to watch. And I think a lot of people, if they see that box score, even if they didn't watch the game, they're going to watch game 2 just to see if that happens again.
Yeah, definitely. Casey, can I unclench now? I mean, maybe, but I don't know until this round is over, to be perfectly honest. We're just talking about this series, what a good series it looks like. I mean, just be prepared, everybody. I think a lot of games are going to be like this.
Yep.
Scott, bingo, bango, bongo overcame the onslaught. I love it, Scott. And they did. They just kept going. It's what this team does. XKidsy, this team's really challenging my health, but I'll take it. It's going to be crazy. Andy, most stressful game 1 of my life in any sport. That is what's crazy, right? Like all this stress, all this anxiety, RJ, it's game 1.
Yep. At least 3 more of these to go, at most 6 in this round. Got a lot of hockey left. Are we
Yep.
going to be okay by the end of this, Dylan? If they all go to overtime, no, I don't think so.
I was gonna say John here with heartburn, just heartburn. So I keep a thing of Tums here at my desk just for nights
You're
like
prepared.
this. Just for nights like this. SJ, thank goodness Otter forgot to play how to play hockey for a few minutes in the first there. RJ, it's incredible. We're 45 minutes in. We haven't talked about Jake Ottinger yet. But the bottom line is this is one of the things that can happen with Ottinger is if you can get him off his game for a little bit, or you can take advantage of a rebound opportunity, surprise him, get him moving laterally, open up the 5-hole. We saw a couple goals scored that way. And then just the bottom line, same thing with Grubauer, right? You get tips, whether it's your own guy tipping the puck or you're getting a tip off a defender's stick, beats anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's in net. And Ottinger, it is really important that we talk about him because he did not have a good game. And I think that was one of the paths to victory for the Kraken, is if you could get Jake Ottinger off of his game. And beyond just the tips, he was kind of fighting the puck all night. He just didn't look right. Something looked off with his rebound control. It didn't seem quite so sure in his positioning, especially after those 2 quick ones in the first period where he gets beat blocker side by Schultz first and by Bjorkstrand second. Like, that's got to kill a goalie's confidence when you just get beat clean like that twice in a row, similar spots. He just didn't look quite right. And if that continues all series, I love the Kraken's chances. Jake Ottinger is supposed to be the difference maker. We were talking about the goaltending before this series, and it felt like Dallas kind of had the edge in net looking at the numbers, but certainly wasn't the case tonight.
No, and this is I'm gonna borrow something from Edzo. Okay, Kraken, keep the shots low. Shoot for the pads. There was a couple times Morgan Geekie especially. He had 2 great looks. He had people in front and he shot high. Ottinger was able just to trap it against his chest. End of threat. If those pucks are on the ice and he has to save them with his pads, there's going to be a rebound net front. He's going to scramble. He looked uncomfortable doing that tonight. I want to see the Kraken kind of try to keep their shots low whenever they know they're going to have support net front. I think that's going to be something that they're going to have to do. I know that was, a meme basically amongst Kraken people when playing against Colorado, both in the regular season and in the playoffs, with Edzo kind of hammering that home. Well, I'm prepared to kind of pick up that mantle and carry it forward here because I think that's going to be one of the keys to getting past Ottinger in this one. The other thing that's kind of interesting, RJ, goaltenders, both of them 8.86 save percentage tonight. When was the last time you saw 2 goaltenders have the same save percentage, much less one that was 8.86?
Okay, that's a real deep dive stat thing. I don't even know if Allison could help us out with that. When was the last time both goalies in a game finished with an 8.86 save percentage? She could probably do it, but should she? I don't think she should waste a reference with that. But I want to know.
No, that's going to be something you and I are going to put together during the offseason, is the save percentage scoreagami chart for the NHL's history.
Yes, present that at ECH.
Yes, it'll be like the biggest waste of time ever, but boy, won't it be just like neat. It'll be neat to show off for 5 minutes at ECH, and you could have done a lot of other stuff.
Hey, come on. It's worth whatever effort we have to put in to get booed off stage at ECH.
Definitely. Egg Reviews music. This playoff thing is easy. Oh boy, RJ, I sure hope Kraken fans don't become that group of fans. I know you're not. I'm just teasing. But yeah, it's kind of wild how fast this is all coming together for the Kraken. I knew they were a good team. I thought they could come in and make a little bit of noise, RJ. But this, I mean, they look like an elite team all of a sudden.
They do, and I'm not quite sure how to comprehend this growing up a Sharks fan, where it just felt like everything had this way of always going wrong. And this team, it just doesn't work that way. Things seem to turn out pretty good. So I'm still getting used to it myself, to be honest.
Yeah, it's something. And one of the things too that is surprising that the national media hasn't picked up on, and if anybody's listening, here's the storyline for you next time. This is a team that is now in the second round of the playoffs, didn't make a move at the trade deadline. Like, this wasn't the team like going for it. Like they were kind of, without saying that they weren't, they were kind of indicating that we're not. Like this is all ahead of schedule. If we make the playoffs, cool. But like, you know, what happens, happens. We're really looking ahead towards next year. Let's get some experience for our young guys. Let's kind of move forward. That's all we were all talking about. It was just like, yeah, if we get, let's get to the playoffs. We'd hate to blow this thing late. And now it's like, okay, we're in the second round. We win game one. We're beating this amazing Dallas Stars team. And it's like, how is nobody talking about that? That this is like a team that just from the start of the postseason, but really going all the way back to February, March, just wasn't really even expecting to be here themselves in some ways.
Yeah, they punted at the trade deadline. Like, yeah, this, you know, our real window is later. Whatever we do, we do. I mean, as Max Bro says here, look at us. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I mean,
they might mess around and win a Stanley Cup. I don't know.
That's basically what they're doing right now. It's wild. Their big trade deadline thing was, I guess we'll keep Carson Soucy.
Yeah,
that was
kind of their big trade was we won't trade this guy away to Edmonton for a first round pick. You know, that's pretty solid as a move here.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Lots to talk about the broadcast there. Seeing some more love for Fitz. Always love to see that. Always love to see that.
Oh, yeah. He's great.
Sure.
And I got to get this at the end of chat here. I'm shipping up to Boston and Squid Squad. You know, let's go Kraken from Australia. I love seeing all the people. Like we had it last game too in chat. All the Aussies in here. Love it. Good afternoon to you. Almost 4 p.m. for you tomorrow. Yes. But that's so great. Love to see it.
Definitely. Becca, the bar down guys each predicted this would be one of the most boring round 2 series. At this point, I think bar down purposefully goes out to try to like choose the exact opposite of what's going to happen, RJ, because I can't imagine you'd be that wrong this many times over.
You get more clicks if you're really, really wrong. I mean, hey, look, we put that your Sheldon Keefe rant about how terrible a communicator he is and how awful he is up on there, and the Leafs go and win 4 games in a row. It did such good numbers. Like, it's a strategy, I got to admit.
It is a strategy. That's fair. John, what's up with the camera? Can't see players on the near boards, fans blocking it with their beer, moves at a glacial pace. I don't know about the movements. A lot of that, though, is just the way that arena is built. It's not a steep grade for that lower bowl there. So yeah, it's not the greatest camera setup place in the world there in Dallas. But I will say, I'll give them credit that it's at least properly lit. It's not like a dark cave like some of the other arenas around the NHL. So I'll give them that.
Take the trade-off, I guess.
The white balance seems better. Jules, for real, Matty is trying out there but hasn't been lucky. Hope the guys are able to keep his spirits up. I think they are, and I think he's enough of a mature person. I know we always make all jokes about how, you know, he simultaneously looks 20 and 40, but I think he's a mature enough player to understand that, look, if you just stick with it, you keep going out there and you make the plays that you need to be making, it'll eventually go for you. And the perfect example of that is just, you know, down the line a little bit with Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. I'm looking here at the bottom of chat too. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted by this. By this comment here on 32 Thoughts the other day. Elliot Friedman was saying that GMs are probably going to look at the way our depth is built going forward, and I do think, like, if you're another GM, you want to look at that. I just don't think it's possible. Like, this is just an argument I want to make. It's probably a longer form argument, but I just don't think you can do this unless you have the expansion draft set up.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are they going to do? Go have an expansion draft? Like, I don't know how.
Right, have an expansion draft, or just go get rid of, you know, their highest paid players.
Yeah,
like that's what you'd have to do. Like, if you're the Stars, what you go trade Robertson because he needs to get paid. You go trade Hintz. You go, like, what do you try and do there? For like $5 million guys and try and get depth players, like.
Yeah, no, it's not an easy thing to achieve. That being said, there is some stuff, right? It's identifying a guy on waivers in an Ellie Tolvanen and submitting a waiver claim. Like, other people could have done that. There's things like that. There's things like, you know, when you pick up a Daniel Sprong in a trade coming back, or you take a flyer on him, signing of a Ryan Donato type. You know what I mean? Just being able to identify players that you think, you know, they have something in the tank, they have something to prove, but also we think that they can do well here in our system, in our culture. And I think that that's something that a lot of times, if you don't have a general manager and head coach that are really in sync when it comes to building out their roster, especially once you have an established core group of players, RJ, if those people have differing takes, like say you have an analytics based front office, but the coaching staff believes a little bit more in, just what they're seeing or how guys are doing at a certain time or whatever it is, and a little more of an old school approach, you're not going to have the success that the Kraken are having. I think so much of this comes down to the fact that there's just good lines of communication from the coaching staff, the players, and the front office all with each other. So everyone's on the same page. And that's when you can see depth guys like that. You can bring in the right people and put them in the right spots to succeed. And that should be repeatable. It's just something that often isn't, unfortunately.
It's not easy. It's an organization-wide type of thing. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah. Sean, Fubo ESPN stream dropped the last couple of minutes and Gord's goal. WTF? Yes, WTF for sure. That's terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry. That sounds brutal. Yeah, that's really bad. I'm very, very
What's
sorry.
the Fubo, man?
I know. What's the Fubo? Casey, I'm so tired. I bet the boys are exhausted after that one too. What an amazing effort to finish that game off in overtime after a tough third. For sure. It's wild. Sarah, don't forget to like the stream, y'all, and Alex and subscribe. Yes, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribers really gone up just past 3,500. Thank you, everybody.
Nice.
For that.
That's a good milestone there.
Definitely talk about that. Lindsay, I owe Will Borgen an apology. I don't think he could do it. I didn't think he could do it, but that playoff beard is magnificent. It's a pretty good one, RJ.
That's been the biggest positive surprise in the playoff beards, I think, of anybody. Like, I'm really impressed with Borgen's playoff beard. I didn't think there was going to be much at all, but it looks nice. I think he should just keep it full time. I think he looks better with it than without it.
I kind of agree. I honestly agree. I thought he looked really good. Justin, so you mean
Maybe
to tell
I should
me
ask him if he'll consider just keeping it around? I don't know. That's the kind of thing I could joke with him about.
Yeah, I think so. Certainly if they're going to come back to Seattle winning a bunch of games here. Justin, so you mean to tell me it takes more than one player to win in team hockey? Yeah. Sometimes though, it only takes like it. Yeah, the
Joe
one guy will
Pavelski
get
might
you to
try and
overtime.
argue with you, but yeah,
we'll get you to overtime. For sure. Hockey Fork, I'm not sure if it was Elliot or Frank, but I know I heard one of them say that the Kraken were locked down as far as leaks go. Yeah, I look, we're there. You're there more often than I am, RJ. This is not a team that wants to disclose information to anybody.
No, if it's anything big, the team themselves is breaking the story. And that's definitely something I've talked to the media members about. Like, no matter how insider on the inside you are, like, there are certain things, if they want it kept a secret, it will be a secret.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, look at the coaching search. We didn't see Hackstall coming at all.
No. And we really, I mean, we were grasping at straws of just like, well, we're talking winning a second time. I guess he's the guy because that's all we had.
Like, third time, I think. He had a lot of interviews.
Third times. Yeah. And it was like, well, they played together in Pittsburgh. Like, this must mean something. And it was just, but we had nothing. They gave us nothing. They still do a good job of that kind of stuff too. Don't get me wrong. They're still great the way they handle everything. The fact that you get meals, RJ, as I'm going to all these road games, that's amazing. Good on the Kraken for stuff like that, taking care of the media in other ways. But yeah, they're maybe just not the most talkative organization, but that's fine.
Yeah,
they're doing good. I just love this name, Cheshire Cat Squirrel Master. The OMG, you have to love it. Let's go Kraken. Oh, I love all the excitement there. Love the name as well. It's fantastic. Joey, raise hands after last season who saw Kraken 3 more wins from a Western Conference final. If I see any hands out there, that's just someone you know is lying.
Yeah. That's how you weed out the liars.
No way at all. I'm trying to get down to the super chat here. There we go. Super chat from a buck. Do we know if John and Eddie are doing the TNT game? I would assume so. I'd be doing one.
No, let's see.
I know.
Let's see if it's in that email the NHL sent me.
Okay, I was gonna say I know John's doing TNT stuff around 2 at the very least.
Right. Let's see.
As RJ gets, another organization infamous for disclosing information all the time, the NHL.
Yeah.
Well, here, while you look that up, got another super chat here from NPC Chris. I continue to be floored by the mental makeup of this team. They just seem so unfazed when their backs are up against the wall. It's true. I mean, this team just, like, I was thinking about that earlier, like, they handled that game 7 kind of easier than I've seen any other team like tackle a game 7 situation, where it's a win or go home opportunity. You lost the game 6 where you had the chance to clinch, so you're going back to Colorado. They've got momentum from winning that last game. They didn't look good in that game 6 either. That was their worst game of the series. For them to just literally just throw all of that out of their brain and come out in game 7 and just be like, no, we're just going to win this game. We're going to shut them down. Bjorkstrand's just going to have 1,000 shots ring off the post. I thought that what Hackstall was able to do with them, what the leadership on the team was able to do, and then just individually, all the guys on that roster have to buy in. It's one thing to hear it from your coach. It's one thing to hear it from your, a team leader, but it's another thing to actually do that yourself. And I was really, really impressed with how the Kraken handled that game 7, RJ, because the bottom line was the way they acted, it didn't feel like a game 7.
Nope, it just didn't kind of register for them with that, that extra nerve. The nerves just never hit. I only heard kind of the first or second half of what you said because I was looking up and I couldn't find the broadcasters. Sorry. I found this tweet from Tony X. I love this. Kraken are like the 10,000 Hawks in those "who do you want to be on your side in a fight to the death" scenario. Nobody picks them, but they end up effing stuff up.
Yes, they do. and for real ECH fans here, the 1,000 Ducks.
Yes, the 1,000 Ducks.
This Kraken team is the 1,000 Ducks. It is. We're just going to exhaust everybody and leave them dehydrated. That's the
How
plan.
ironic.
Yeah, JMG in here. John and Eddie are doing the Vegas Edmonton game tomorrow. So that's, I was already looking forward to that game, RJ. I think that's going to be a really good one. But certainly looking forward to it now here. Ty with the not the Ducks. I know. I'm telling you, everybody got mad at me for that just because they all knew I was right. Nobody wanted me to be right, but I was right. Patrick,
that's the only reason anyone ever gets mad at you, Dylan. It's just because you're all so right. Always, all the time.
It's always that. Patrick, 11 more to go. I know it's crazy. All right, RJ. Got Davy Jones' hat and the ability to put the puck on the board for this one, RJ. Who's getting it?
Davy Jones' hat, man. I mean, like the obvious, you go to kind of Yanni Gourde as the game winner. Let's see, Grubauer currently has the hat, so maybe he goes with like I don't know. Borgen had that big shot block.
Yeah,
came back from it. I think it might be a goalie pick type of thing, where maybe it's one of the defensemen. What do you think?
I mean, he could go really off the wall. Ty Cartier leading the team in hits with 7. Let's go. That would be epic from Grubauer. No, it's got to be Yanni Gourde. Come on, dude won the game in overtime. Like that's it. Game over. That you know what I mean?
Only problem is if it's too obvious. But like, look, yeah, he had the OT winner, and he just does so much everywhere all the time. It's not like he just scored that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Patrick saying Ty. Yeah. See that? There you go. I think that's someone in there. Loving all this. Gary with the shout out to the Seattle Storm and the WNBA for changing their game for game 3. Definitely. Ty, I had to look up how a fish stays hydrated. Lol. Thanks, Dylan. You're very welcome, Ty. That's what I'm here for. Rebecca, Dylan with the deep callback to his own dumb argument. I'll give you one. And then X Kid Z, lol. I guess this is answering the 1,000 Ducks question. Just don't bring back wheels and doors again, please.
No, you've done it, X Kid Z.
Oh my
god! Not talk about this still.
We won't talk about wheels and doors, but I'm definitely keeping this 1,000 Ducks thing going along as long as the Kraken are winning in the postseason, for sure. Michael, Ty Cartier has been a revelation for this team. Physical, strong on the forecheck, and making great decisions with the puck. I'm telling you, RJ, I grew up watching the Penguins. You already talked about Pavelski and all that. I grew up watching Sidney Crosby having line mates like Chris Kunitz and Pascal Dupuis. Not guys you would associate playing with a superstar, but I get the same kind of vibes of Cartier playing with Matty Beniers and Jordan Eberle, where here is Matty Beniers. He's your star franchise center that you're going to be building around. And while Ty Cartier isn't, the superstar prospect kid who came along, and he is 22, just getting signed in an AHL deal, all that kind of stuff. He just plays well with him. They complement each other so well. The line has become way more effective, really, than it was with McCann. I know that that's crazy, but you look at playoff production, it's been more productive with Ty Cartier. And then for him to go out there, throw around the body, get even more confident and comfortable as he gets more and more game reps in. I'm kind of getting the feeling that, we could see Cartier with Matty Beniers for a while.
Right. If he's able to stick in that spot, when what that allows you to do too with that chemistry is move other guys down the lineup. I mean, you can put a Jared McCann when he comes back on a different line, and he can bring everything that he brings just further down the lineup, getting better matchups. And I was waiting for you to kind of put the 2 and 2 together there with Crosby's line mates and Ty Cartier there. And it'd be so great too if the Firebirds and that whole system, Dan Bilesman was able to mold players to be ready to play with a guy like Matty Beniers, who he knows they're going to be able to come up and get minutes with for the next decade plus. I mean, when you have a player like that who's just a franchise cornerstone, you can develop guys that way.
Yep, definitely. Andy, how about that camera shot of the Stars bench coach's back of the head? It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Kyle, I'd much rather have the win than the third star. Definitely agree, Kyle. We're all on the same page there, I think, for sure. CDO, this felt like game 7+1. Sheesh. It kind of was. Again, not having any days off between series, really, RJ. It just kept all of that going, all that energy going. But good for them.
And
Shay,
hey, Jamie Alexiak said he prefers it that way.
Yeah,
just keep it in a rhythm like that.
I think a lot of the guys do, just based on what they've said. I'm sure at some point, especially because it's the playoffs, they're going to want a day to take an ice bath and not have to worry about anything. But I don't know that they're necessarily there yet. Shay, the Mariners have their chaos ball. Can we claim chaos hockey? There's a good argument that can be made for the Kraken and chaos hockey, RJ.
Tonight's game just by itself was a pretty good argument there. I don't know that they want to play as chaotic all, potentially 6 remaining games of this series. But they managed to get a win. If you had told me it would be a 5-4 game at the start of this one, I would have thought the Kraken's odds of winning were quite low.
Yeah. Noah doing a good job here of summarizing how we've all been over the course of this season. I'm good if we have a winning season. I'm good if we get over 100 points. I'm good if we at least make the playoffs. I'm good if we don't get swept in the first round. I'm good if I think we might be the better team here. Let's effing go. That's 1,000% where everybody's at. That is
way to sum up our thought process kind of throughout this whole season. And yeah, I was definitely having those thoughts during this game. Like, I think the Kraken might just be the better team here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Stu here disagreeing with me. Shoot high, my friend. Low is what all the goalies play for. It's the modern way. Cherry pick the corners. Shooting low was the way when there were stand-up goalies. Hey, I'm not saying shoot to score goals low. I'm saying shoot low to create rebounds that you can then take advantage of. Because Jake Ottinger, I don't know if this is a thing with all tall goalies or if it's just him, but whenever there's a rebound in front of him, he has this propensity to just open up the 5-hole completely. Like, it's just whoosh. Like he tries to stick his skates on both posts and it just leaves the middle wide open. So if you shoot low, create a rebound in front of him, there's a good chance you could just kind of poke it home, maybe even a little easily. So that's really what I'm going for. I don't think you're going to score 5-hole on him all that often. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
JP scored a hat trick but still lost the game with no puck support. I would be mad. I mean, I don't know how you feel as Pavelski after a game like this, to be honest. That's a good question. If only the NHL come to Seattle right after the Sonics were stolen city, State would have been so much better off. I love hockey. Oh my gosh, just given how crazy everybody is for the Kraken already, that would have been nuts. Mm-hmm. That would have been nuts for sure. Mr. Q asking if there's a Burakovsky update.
No Burakovsky update. I don't think we've asked for at least a week or two, because the thing is they gave an injury timeline that's well beyond what we're at right now. So I think that's one that they maybe would just be like, yeah, no update. Look at the injury timeline we gave out. So he's not coming back for this series. I would not expect him back for this series.
Yeah. Jason, Kraken are making Vegas rich right now. Everyone keeps betting against them and getting lit up. Literally everyone. Yeah, it was over 47% of all tickets were on Boston to win the cup, RJ. So already Vegas is feeling pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great playoffs for Vegas so far, and even our bracket challenge. So many brackets just going down as far as the cup winners are concerned. I mean, it's just carnage there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Max Bro, we talked about how the ESPN crew is finally giving us some respect. The entire Avs coverage was just them talking about what the Avs need to do better to win. Yeah, no, I thought Brian Boucher was very much, talking about the good things that the Kraken were doing. He was definitely feeling Ryan Donato tonight. Whenever Donato was out there, he was like, "Look at what Donato's doing." I was like, "All right,
Good. I mean,
I'll
Ryan
take it."
Donato earning converts there.
Yeah,
He's getting Bush to be a Ryan Donato believer, and you could tell the broadcasters were kind of just coming around as the game was going on. They introduced it like, oh, the Stars, maybe they're not sure. Is this possible the Kraken could continue this level of play? I don't know. And then by the end of it, they were fully on board.
yeah, for sure. Lindsay, this team and organization has truly captured lightning in a bottle. Now we just need to beat Tampa at some point. Lol, that's a next season problem.
Yep.
One
All right.
day.
Yep. Shay breaking the news here. Yanni Gord gets the Davy Jones hat. It could only be him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alex in there with the Yanni hat as well. He looks good wearing that hat there.
Yeah. Oh, for
Looking at the
sure.
speech now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting Daniel and Donnie in here mentioning Jacob Magna was a move. Yes, it was. That was an ad at the deadline that the Kraken made. You're right.
Oh, talking about Magna?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Saying
feel
that they
like
didn't do anything at the
he is
deadline.
the oldest player on the Kraken roster who's never played in a playoff game yet. He still doesn't have a playoff game in his career at age 30. And he's watching this. I'm sure he's, having a good time with the team winning, but man, you got to think he'd love to
Seeing
get
Will
to a
Borgen
game.
go down like, huh?
Huh? Maybe.
Yeah. Tim, just thinking back to when Vegas was making their run, everybody thought it was impossible and couldn't believe they kept winning. Revisionist history is wild, but this team has the same vibes. I mean, there's something to that expansion team depth. Like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, those teams are built different, and other teams just don't know how to counter it or deal with it.
Yeah.
And they never really learned with Vegas. Vegas just kind of changed that on their own by bringing in stars and being built like a more normal team.
Yeah. Let's see. Bowie tweeted the chaos hockey thing too. Love that. From Thrift Shop Hockey there. And then Lindsay with a quote from Grubauer, effing rights.
Yeah, effing rights.
And then Yanni, let's
Love
get that effing second win. Sergio there. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Rebecca loved when the broadcast basically said, "At what point should we stop being surprised when the Kraken stay winning?" You know
Yeah,
what?
that's okay. That's what I was referring to. Yeah, at the
Yeah.
start of the broadcast when they were saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I want them to keep staying surprised. Keep doubting us. Let's keep the underdog thing going on. Let's keep the us versus the world mentality. I think it's working. And yeah, I mean, I just don't want anything to change, to be perfectly honest. Everything's going very well for the Kraken right now. Let's just
Right.
keep
Everybody
all the
needs to
faith.
stay doubting, so this continues to happen. I think that may have played into our picking the stars in our series
Little bit.
preview a little bit.
Yeah.
I was
think
worried if I picked
I
the
think
Kraken to win that it would all go south.
I think we straight up said it in the deep dive. We were just
I think we may have just come out and said
yeah,
it.
pick
Yes.
them. So yeah, we got to go with Dallas just so that we'll be proven wrong. Like I said, RJ, this team, I've never been more happy to be proven wrong. It's very
Yep.
true.
And we're gonna
It's
keep being
1000%
happy.
true.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm totally loving it. Loving doing these post game lives with everybody. Love the fact that still 198 people in here. We're 11:15 on the West Coast here. Hour and 12 minutes in after that overtime game. Just all of it's incredible. RJ, game two. Like, if there's one thing the Kraken need to work on, one thing for them to keep going with, we'll finish with these. We can each give one. What are you thinking?
I mean, aside from, doing whatever you can to stop Joe Pavelski, but aside from that, I think just the forecheck. Like, that's what I was so impressed with, especially from the start of the game, was getting in really physically on the forecheck, because this is one thing we noticed during the regular season. The Stars are going to bring a lot of man support down into their own zone, trying to help out with those breakouts. And the Kraken really struggled with it all regular season, the 3 times that they met up. And they kind of countered by being a little more conservative in the regular season. And the Stars kind of figured out a way around that, but they just had no answer for the forechecking pressure the Kraken brought. It was just so aggressive tonight. And I think you've got to keep them on their heels that way. And so that's what I want to see from the very start of the game. Go in there, forecheck, get 2 guys on the puck, just bang some bodies into the boards and put them on their heels again and make them fear you.
Yeah. Donnie, Dylan, anything you want to teach us on the whiteboard? The thing I was going to talk about is the PK. Like, keep going with the PK the way it is with the conservative box. Let me see if I can. I don't know. I don't have the whiteboard really like ready to go.
Is it not within reach?
It's barely in reach.
Tell Afra to go fetch it for you.
Afra, do your job. Where's my assistant? All right, let's see
Where's
here.
her treats, Dylan?
Yeah. That's kind of something that Dallas would do on the power play, maybe.
They've got so many varied looks. I mean,
I know
it's kind of drop
like
a whole bunch of other things.
What they would be. All right,
Deciding on the spot is difficult.
Yeah. But this is basically what the Kraken were doing.
Real quick, free KN here. Our PP is very sad. We need to get it going. The power play. I mean,
it just goes without
where
saying.
Do we start? Yeah, I know. It's just kind of assuming. I'm not hoping for anything there. I like that they moved Tolvanen back to the one-timer slot and put Morgan Geeky on the other side. But yeah, there's a lot of things they could change there. We've kind of gone over it all season. But Dylan, take it away on the penalty kill.
All right. So in this one, I reverse things a little bit. The lime green, lemon lime Gatorade colored ones are actually the Stars this time. But this is basically what they were doing. They just did man coverage. So this is more of like a spread out look for the Dallas Stars. Got one guy net front, one guy in the. It's pretty standard 1-3-1, I guess. Actually, one person net front, one in the slot, two on the half boards, and then the person up top. And they just let that person up top sit there with it. But really, a lot of times what we were seeing from them was a lot of this. Because Dallas likes to keep the two guys not necessarily off on the hash boards. They like to keep them a little more in. And this is the look that we were seeing through most of the time, where you have all four Kraken defenders making that box, being nice, conservative in there. And look at that. If you're the Dallas Stars there, where are you supposed to pass? Who's supposed to be open? Everybody's got a body on them. The Kraken defenders can reach everything with their sticks. Like there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like there's nowhere to go with this other than for this guy up at the point to just kind of go back and forth like this, which is a lot of what we saw from Miro Heiskanen on the power play. And you could tell he didn't know what to do. And whenever you could put a player as good as Miro Heiskanen in a situation where he's just like, on a power play, especially, that's the good stuff. So I want to keep seeing that from the Kraken. I think if they keep going with that, things are going to be great. And then, yeah, as far as like things you can improve on, I don't know. Just don't allow guys to tip things in front of Grubauer. There's a problem in round one, problem in round two. Stop it.
Yeah, and like, you know what? You know who you have to look at more than anybody else. You know who the culprit is. Just body up, take away the stick. I know it's really hard, but you have to find a way.
Exactly. Got Kobe in here. Great, go Kraken. Great win tonight. So that's a good place to end it. I think here. Appreciate everybody staying up late with us. Appreciate all the super chats and everything. Everybody who left a like. Everybody who subscribed to the channel. Really appreciate it. We are on to game 2 on Thursday. Cannot wait to see what the Kraken have in store for us all then. But until then, we'll see y'all next time. Oh, and the beer hall. They're great.
Yes, Queen Anne Beer Hall.